internal auditor is not boring at all. You look at
Not
me,
boring.
do I look like a boring person to you? No, right?
Cannot tell,
just
cannot tell.
joking.
Cannot tell.
No, it really depends on how you look at it, but it's largely untrue. So the common perception is that auditors sit in dusty storerooms and dig through all the old records. They do the same things day in and day out, year in and year out. But totally not true. So like what I shared earlier, my ambition when I was young was to actually fly around, as a pilot. But do you know that internal audit is actually one of a few jobs other than pilots and cabin crew that allows you to fly around the world for free, right?
Oh,
So because the job of an internal auditor is usually regional or global in nature, because it'll be expensive to have an internal audit team, right? In each country that the company operates in. So internal auditors are usually assigned to engagements on a project basis, and that means visiting different departments of the company on a rotational basis. So in my past 7 years as an internal auditor, I have visited at least, I was just counting before the session started. I visited at least 14 countries, 22 cities,
wow.
all on company expenses. Yeah. So if you
Wow.
go on, yeah. So you stay in, if you have the budget, then you fly business class, stay in the fancy hotels. But usually I fly economy and stay in the
No frills hotel.
yes, yeah. Of course, of hotel that is safe, but not that luxurious. Okay, so yeah, and the furthest that I've been to was to Nashville in the US. So it took me about 27 hours to get there. So, and actually after that engagement, I took time off to visit other parts of the US, like New York City. Yeah, so I actually spent a week there exploring New York City. So, and I'll say that the daily job of an internal auditor, right, is never the same. So I like an accountant's job where you can get, a bit repetitive when trying to balance the books. Ours is a very dynamic job. So as you heard earlier, we are always talking and interacting with our stakeholders, trying to find out what the key risks for the clients and how to address them. So there's a lot of human interactions. And if you're somebody who likes talking to people, right, and of course traveling around the world, then you'll find that internal audit is definitely not boring at all. So yeah, it's to me, the fact internal audit is boring is definitely a big myth.
So I'm not sure though, because I do know Chevron is a pretty big entity that has network or branches all over the world. What happens if it is a small company or mid-sized company? Is there a need to travel or?
Okay, so if you're a small company, right, you might not need an internal audit team in the first place because because first of all, it's not a statutory requirement if you're not listed, right? So you might think that internal audit is not required. I sit around with my reports every day. I know what's going on. So and it's my own company. I feel that it is controls are all working and I don't need somebody to help me check. So that's fine. But for maybe let's say a locally listed company with no operations overseas, then and it might not be feasible to staff a small internal audit team in Singapore, just auditing that departments in the same level because come on, in a year, how many audits can you do for when you only have 4 departments, right? So what some companies do, right, is that they outsource internal audit services to either the Big Four or the other accounting firms. So they might actually come in maybe once a year to look at the key processes and give their opinion on whether the controls are working or not. So yeah, so that's how the smaller company. That's what the smaller companies do. Yeah.
Maybe YC, you can share with us, Mr. Koh, you can share with us, what is one of your most memorable internal audit? Because you mentioned you fly around, right? So what is your most memorable overseas or internal audit experience?
I'm gonna say something political correct. Every engagement is memorable, but the most memorable will be probably uncovering some sort of shady business by one of the business owners. Yeah, so it was something that was reported to me by an employee. and because that was his, his boss, right? So he couldn't really do anything about it. So he reported to me. So he fed me a lot of tips. He say, hey, when you look at the transactions, right, look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that. So yeah, and whenever he talked to me, right, he had to bring me to a corner and whisper, whisper, whisper. So and we were in a and I was in a foreign country, and apparently that business owner has a lot of like shady links. So there was once where I asked him, do you feel unsafe, sharing all these tips with me? He said, of course. Then at that moment, I also felt very unsafe, because he felt unsafe. Definitely, I'm the one checking on it. I'll be even more unsafe, right? Yeah. So, but but I always believe that as an internal auditor, you have to be objective, without fear or favor. That's my personal motto. So, and without fear, I continue, digging. I continue, checking on the transaction. So, I managed to, uncover something worth, transactions worth more than, 40 over million. Yeah. That were questionable. So because it was not a fraud investigation, so I cannot say that that was fraud. But what I did was to raise an observation saying that these transactions were questionable, and they need to be further reviewed. And so I thought that was quite a memorable experience. Yeah, because for once I actually felt unsafe. Yeah, while while performing my engagement.